Imagine this, a sunny day at the beach, the sound of waves crashing, children laughing, and the smell of salt in the air. Now picture a 6-year-old boy, alone, sitting on the sand, his tiny feet buried in the grains, waiting for someone who never comes back. This is not just a story about abandonment, it's a story about regret, resilience, and the unbreakable bond of family. What happens when parents make a decision they can't take back? What happens when a child is left to fend for himself in a world that suddenly feels too big? Buckle up, because this story will take you on an emotional roller coaster you won't forget. And trust me, by the end, you'll be asking yourself, what would I have done? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one of those tales that will stick with you long after the video ends. It's about a little boy named Ethan, his parents, and a day at the beach that changed their lives forever. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story like this. And if you're feeling generous, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. All right, let's get into it. I've noticed only 98% of you who watch haven't subscribed. Come on guys, show some love and support. Thanks a bunch to those who have already subscribed. Ethan was your typical 6-year-old, curious, energetic, and full of life. He loved building sandcastles, chasing seagulls, and splashing in the waves. His parents, Mark and Lisa, were busy professionals who rarely had time for family outings. But one summer afternoon, they decided to take a break from their hectic schedules and spend the day at the beach. It was supposed to be a perfect day, a chance to reconnect, to laugh, to make memories. But sometimes life has other plans. The beach was packed that day. Families sprawled out on towels. Kids screamed with joy as they jumped into the water, and the ice cream truck jingled its familiar tune in the distance. Ethan was in his element. He ran ahead of his parents, his little legs carrying him as fast as they could. Mark and Lisa followed behind, chatting about work, bills, and all the things that seemed so important at the time. They didn't notice when Ethan wandered off. Not at first. The moment everything changed, it started innocently enough. Ethan saw a crab scuttle across the sand and decided to follow it. He was fascinated by the way it moved, its tiny claws snapping at the air. He followed it further and further away from his parents, completely engrossed in his little adventure. Meanwhile, Mark and Lisa were deep in conversation, oblivious to the fact that their son was no longer within sight. It wasn't until Lisa glanced up to check on Ethan that she realized he was gone. Her heart skipped a beat. "Mark," she said, her voice trembling. "Where's Ethan?" They both stood up, scanning the beach, calling his name. But Ethan was nowhere to be found. Panic set in. The once peaceful beach now felt like a nightmare. They ran in opposite directions, shouting his name, asking strangers if they'd seen a little boy in a blue swimsuit. But no one had. The decision, as the minutes turned into hours, Mark and Lisa's fear turned into desperation. They made a decision, one that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. They decided to leave. Yes, you heard that right. They left the beach without their son. In their minds, they thought Ethan might have gone home, or maybe someone had taken him to the lifeguard station. They convinced themselves that leaving was the right thing to do, but deep down, they knew better. As they drove away, the weight of their decision settled over them like a dark cloud. Lisa burst into tears, and Mark gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. They didn't speak a word the entire ride home. And when they arrived, Ethan wasn't there. The house was empty, silent, and cold. That's when it hit them. They had abandoned their child. Ethan's perspective. Now let's rewind a bit and see what was happening from Ethan's perspective. After following the crab, he looked up and realized he couldn't see his parents. At first, he wasn't scared. He thought they were playing hide and seek. But as the minutes passed and they didn't appear, he started to feel uneasy. He walked back to where he thought they were, but they weren't there. He called out for them, but his voice was swallowed by the noise of the beach. Ethan sat down on the sand, hugging his knees to his chest. He didn't cry. Not yet. He was too confused, too shocked. He watched as families packed up their things and left, one by one. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the sand. The beach, once full of life, was now eerily quiet. That's when the fear set in. Ethan was alone, the kindness of strangers. Just when Ethan thought he'd be stuck there forever, a lifeguard noticed him. She approached him cautiously, not wanting to scare him. "Hey there, little guy," she said softly. "Are you lost?" Ethan nodded, tears finally spilling down his cheeks. The lifeguard, whose name was Sarah, sat down next to him and listened as he explained what had happened. She promised him she'd help find his parents. Sarah took Ethan to the lifeguard station and called the police. They searched the area, but there was no sign of Mark and Lisa. Meanwhile, Ethan sat quietly, clutching a blanket Sarah had given him. He didn't understand why his parents had left him. He wondered if it was his fault, if he'd done something wrong. Those thoughts would stay with him for years to come. The aftermath? Back at home, Mark and Lisa were falling apart. They called the police, filed a missing persons report, and waited for news. The guilt was unbearable. They replayed the day over and over in their minds, wishing they could go back and change it. When the phone finally rang, they were both too scared to answer it. But it was the police informing them that Ethan had been found. They rushed to the station, their hearts pounding. When they saw Ethan sitting there, safe and sound, they broke down. They hugged him tightly, promising they'd never let him out of their sight again. But the damage had been done. Ethan didn't hug them back. He just sat there, his little face expressionless. He didn't trust them anymore. The road to redemption. The days that followed were tough. Mark and Lisa tried to make it up to Ethan, but he was distant. He didn't want to play or talk. He just wanted to be alone. It took months of therapy, patience, and love for Ethan to start opening up again. Slowly but surely, he began to trust his parents. But things were never the same. The incident had left a scar, one that would take years to heal. Mark and Lisa learned a valuable lesson that day. They realized that no matter how busy life gets, family should always come first. They started spending more time with Ethan, making memories, and cherishing every moment. They knew they couldn't undo what had happened, but they could make sure it never happened again. This story is a reminder that our actions have consequences. Sometimes we make decisions in the heat of the moment that we can't take back, but it's never too late to make things right. Mark and Lisa's story is one of regret, but it's also one of redemption. They made a mistake, but they worked hard to fix it, and in the end, that's what matters. So what would you have done if you were in Mark and Lisa's shoes? Would you have made the same decision? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story touched you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Stories like this remind us of the importance of family, love, and forgiveness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of each other. Bye. So, what would you have done if you were in Mark and Lisa's shoes? Would you have made the same decision? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story touched you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Stories like this remind us of the importance of family, love, and forgiveness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of each other. Bye.